what is the influence that actually AI has on entrepreneurship, generally speaking?
That so many founders use AI to sustain their decision making and also to validate their ideas, but at the end, they will search for other people.
Innovation does not happen at the average. Innovation happens on the edge, right? So welcome to another episode of our podcast today. And of course, in our podcast, we really speak to ecosystem enablers in the entrepreneurship space. So we've spoken to storytellers, we've spoken to founders, we've spoken to policymakers, and also we've spoken to researchers. And of course, today, we are more than privileged to have a guest today who is also joining us from the global north, like we usually say. Of course, he'll get to introduce himself, but he's here in the country, in Kenya, doing a bit of work, and of course, we'll also get to tell us a bit about that. But before, of course, I spill any more secrets about our guest, I would just like to introduce him. Welcome, Andrea.
Thanks a lot, Hayud.
Yes,
Thanks
yes.
for hosting me,
Yeah.
and it's a privilege for me to be here.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Andrea, a PhD student. I'm 26, so I'm in the middle of my doctorate.
Okay.
And my doctorate is about agri-food systems, so
Okay.
everything dealing within the agri supply chain. So let me say from farm to fork.
I see.
And what I study specifically is about AI and entrepreneurship. So trying to see if artificial intelligence can have an influence on entrepreneurial activity and specifically toward the decision-making process of founders.
For sure. And of course, you and I had the privilege of having a conversation, and I contributed to your work because of also the organization that I'm building where we leverage AI on a daily to help small businesses access markets and all that. But I think just starting from where you mentioned, trying to see, because I think AI as a tool and as a concept is relatively new. And I know right now everyone has their different opinions as to what the use cases of AI, especially in Africa. And I know you've mentioned about, applications of AI in businesses, entrepreneurship. For you, maybe and again, I know the research is still ongoing, so please don't feel the pressure to spill anything that you've had. But again, just from your perspective, what is the influence that actually AI has on entrepreneurship, generally speaking?
I think that here in Africa, I started to think that AI could be here a sort of leapfrog tool to overcome the constraints of the context, in the sense that I discovered here in Africa two big traits that are the entrepreneurial attitude of people and the technology openness of them. And so I saw a widespread adoption of the tool, making this context really interesting. And coming to the benefit that I saw here is that AI, it's a sort of consultant, a sort of co-founder, a sort of helper for the founder. Why? Because it can enlarge the vision of the founder, providing him scenarios, but also access to knowledge, to information that I understood that here is not so trivial and is not so easy to access. And so enlarging the vision permits to these founders to arrive to a better decision.
Yeah. That's true. And of course, then those decisions at the end of the day then are trying to drive action, right? And in most cases, I think the biggest gap, especially for me as a founder as well, has been sometimes you're wondering, is the decision you're making the right one, right? Because that's always, anyone will tell you when you're running a business or an organization, the success and the failure of the organization will be entirely pegged on the decisions you make.
Yes.
And so I think most founders are trying to make the right decisions, the correct decisions. But maybe in your own opinion, do you think AI can help us make the right decisions?
I think so to until a certain limit.
Okay.
Meaning, I discover, and I'm aligned on this point of view, that so many founders use AI to sustain their decision making and also to validate their ideas, but at the end, they will search for other people to validate what AI suggested or what AI validated about their beginning idea. So the human touch, I think, I repeat, it's mandatory to maintain.
That's true.
And I discovered that this is real. I mean, it's not only a matter of trust, but also a matter of quality. At the end, the human want to speak with another human because they can comprehend each other, also from a human perspective, not about the goal or the product or service that they have to make.
That's true. And I know you and I, before we even entered this podcast room, we were just speaking outside there. And we were speaking about how AI is at the foundation of it. It's actually maths, right? It's mathematics, and it's a system of averages. And where we were saying, at the end of the day, if you fully relied on AI, you would probably just be playing at the average. And so for you to be able to sort of go beyond what the average is, which, like we said, in most cases, innovation does not happen at the average. Innovation happens on the edge, right?
Yes.
And so that's why we're saying maybe, and basically what you're saying, tapping into human confirmation and it really brings out that innovative aspect of AI. But of course, then looking at that aspect specifically, the fact that there's this reliance on these averages that are being made possible by AI. When you look at the future of AI and its applications, do you feel scared? Do you feel encouraged? Or where do you see this future goes, especially in the entrepreneurship space? And as AI keeps evolving and growing, and of course, we have some companies even launching more powerful models now coming on board. Just if you were to speculate, where do you see AI evolving into? Yeah.
Okay, I think that the trajectory is positive.
Okay.
But coming from, let me say, a negative experience. This means that, of course, AI has been something disruptive.
Yes.
And people need to understand the tool, need to be educated also by experience, from the experience that they have. So practically put yourself in a conversation with AI, and trying to understand what are the benefits, what are the setbacks of the tool. And of course, I think that at the beginning there is the temptation of delegating, of over-relying. And probably a person will fall in these traps. But after having experienced these setbacks, you will be aware of the limitations, and so you will exploit the tool just for the best that it can provide to you. This means that I think after a growing beginning and a small decline because maybe over-reliance or delegation or a blind trust toward the tool, you will have, and I'm talking as a general person, the experience to control the tool and not being controlled.
Being controlled, definitely. I think as humans, we always have to sort of maintain control over the
Yes.
tools that we use. And then, like you said, instead of fully delegating, maybe use it more as an assistant that really
Yes.
helps you do the heavy lifting, sort of the work that you don't want to do. And I think you and I are also speaking, saying maybe AI should not be doing things that humans still enjoy doing. Maybe let them do those things that really complement the work that we put in. Now, there's also another aspect, of course, of your work beyond, of course, the AI. There's an aspect of research that we also, of course, we also discussed, I think,
Yes.
outside there. And usually there's a lot that is being said about entrepreneurship in Africa and how AI, and of course, you're also even interested in doing research on the same. But then I was trying to see the power of research, right? Especially in entrepreneurship, that sometimes we live in a continent where very little has been explored, and we know so little about so many things that we really need to find ways of uncovering these things and areas that have not really been brought to light, so that then we can build a better entrepreneurship space. And I feel like research, both qualitative and quantitative, plays a key role in that. And of course, now as someone who is doing that actual research, what do you think is the role of both qualitative and quantitative research in sort of building better entrepreneurship ecosystems here in the continent?
Okay. I think that first of all that research, even if qualitative or quantitative, it's the pillar for entrepreneurship in the sense that if you think the best ideas come from people studying hard stuffs, especially in universities, trying to spinning off their knowledge. So the research topic, I think, is the fuel for entrepreneurship.
Love that.
About qualitative and quantitative are two ways of doing research,
Okay.
often combined together because they are complementary.
Okay.
Of course, if you want to have a bigger picture of the phenomena, it's better quantitative because it works through statistics.
I see.
And so you can understand the framework. But if you're interested to understand details, I think it could be better qualitative because you can grab the perspectives, the point of views, the thoughts of the founders.
Love that.
And so maybe also if you are engaged in a smaller context, so a specific, a defined, and you want to deepen the specificities of that context, qualitative, it plays a big role.
I love that. And thank you for actually doing that justice of differentiating quantitative and qualitative, because I've worked in the research space before, and most people confuse the two and what each could be used for. But I think today, most people, especially entrepreneurs, are actually not doing the actual research where like you go out there, mobilize participants like you're doing, speak to them. Most people, the research they know is searching on AI tools, right? And of course, that has its own sort of good side and bad side based. And of course, they have reasons. It could be they're trying to save cost and all that. But when you look at AI as a tool for research, as opposed to traditional research where you would actually fly to the country, mobilize people, have interviews, and even administer tools and all that, versus where you sit on your desk and on your laptop and ask the AI model about those questions and get the responses. What would you encourage, especially for businesses that are building in Africa? How should they approach research in today's world?
I think that being an entrepreneur means dealing with reality.
That's true.
So sometimes there's a need for efficiency, so for timing, that of course bring you to do what you can because you have to deliver. So scientific research has a different timing, and probably an entrepreneur cannot align to that timing.
I see.
But scientific research provides the concrete knowledge to sustain ideas.
Thank you.
AI can be the door to access the big knowledge already produced in a fast way.
Love that.
And maybe also the possibility to scan and detect the information that are useful for you. Of course, not with the same deep as doing a research from scratch.
Yeah.
But you can blend the time and the quality of the research through AI. Of course, always having in mind the limitations of the tool.
Yes.
So hallucinations
Which
and
happens.
misleading. And so always thinking about what are you doing and what are the sources behind the information I collect.
So over the weekend, I was having this discussion with a group of my friends when we were watching soccer. So I do watch soccer a lot. But during halftime, we were like discussing how you use AI at a personal level, right? Because we know, and of course from your research, you also understand that so many people here are using AI, right? But then the question was, when do you go to the AI tool? Should it be, should you gather your thoughts first, have your own judgment, have your own ideas, then feed into the AI to help you polish? Or should you go to the AI with nothing, with a blank page, and have it generate ideas for you, then later then you try to polish them? Which in your own experience, which will be the better approach in terms of how you use AI, especially when it comes to generation of new ideas and new perspectives?
I think both the ways are valuable.
Okay.
Personally, I prefer to set my trajectory and then enlarge the view, both in a positive side, meaning see if my view can be correct, valuable, and interesting for the goal, but also trying to see what are the limitations, what could be done differently, and also what could not work with my idea. I think also the other ways of doing it's reasonable, because if you wide your perspective since the beginning, you have a bigger picture, and so you can select what is the idea that fits more with your, or that you think it's more valuable. Instead, following my way, you have somehow already set your path. And so maybe you are losing alternatives at the beginning of the road.
For sure. And of course, now as we come to the end of the conversation, speaking about these three different spaces, right? AI, entrepreneurship, and of course its use cases across like agri-space, like the space that you're working in. And looking into the future, basically, what is that one thing, or maybe two, would you like to see more of? Or you could choose to tell us what you would like to see less of in either of the three spaces: entrepreneurship, AI, and of course also the convergence of the two, and some specific spaces like the agri-space, especially just based on what you've read, but also what you've observed and what you've heard. What would you say you like to see more of or less of?
I would say that in entrepreneurship side, I like, and this point is really similar between Kenya and Italy.
Okay.
About funding investments in startups. I mean, hearing from Kenyan founders, but also seeing Italian founders, especially when I did my master thesis related to startup fundraising, I saw that the way of founding is strictly related to the traction, to the track record of the startup.
That's true.
This brings me to think, but are we lending money or are we investing in something that is risky but that could disrupt the system or provide the chance to make steps further?
I love that, yeah.
Because I'm seeing that the risky factor is so huge that also the institutions involved in the innovation capital, especially in these two contexts, are considering more what you already have done than what is the projection toward the possibility,
the new possibility
that you provide.
Exactly. Wow, that's a powerful one. And I think for me personally, also as a founder, I know that my business exists to do the hard things, solve the complex problems. And it's true, some of those complex problems may not have money in them, or they may not be the most attractive to every funder or founder. But I think if we commit to supporting causes or enterprises that are actually solving the complex things and doing the hard things, like we call it, I think we achieve a world where then entrepreneurship works for us, right?
Certainly.
And I know you must have had this aspect of community as well in this part of the
Here,
What have you heard about community and its role in entrepreneurship?
Especially here in Kenya, I discovered that community is the pillar. The people around you are the pillar, first of all, because they define the demands. So they orient your entrepreneurial idea, your product or service. Then they are also the people validating what you're building. Then the network is, let me say, the nest for you, because I understood that trust here is pillar, is key.
Yes.
Before, for example, several founders told me that before discussing about business term, we have to develop a relationship.
That's true.
We have to hit something together, to discuss, to know each other.
Fast.
And then we can discuss about business stuff.
100%. And that's I usually tell people, building in Africa is more relationship based than actually product based. So you may have the fanciest product, the best product, but it won't go until when people feel like they trust you and they can relate with you at a relationship level, which is a key lesson I think that you've also picked. And I'm glad that you're able to pick that. But of course, probably what the viewers are wondering is what the outcome of your research. Of course, I know that you will have some really key insights that could inform really major things. Could that be accessible at some point? Do you hope to publish that and so that someone can read and maybe we can also share with them?
I hope it could be accessible, because this would mean that my article will be published. So I hope 100% that everyone can see my work. Yes,
for sure.
Yes,
for sure. That's amazing. And of course, then at that stage, you will be sure to share with the audience as well. Because I feel like even policymakers are really grappling on how to set policies that support entrepreneurship and AI absorption, because they just don't know enough. So I think work like what you're doing is so important in adding voices into what they need to know before they pass any of those legislations around AI regulation, entrepreneurship support, and I think instances like those. So really, really also personally very much looking forward to the outcome of the work.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and hope to catch you again when you're back in the country. Hope sooner than later.
Yes, sooner. I hope so. And thanks a lot for having me.
Thank you so much. Okay.